away. Your job's a joke you broke, your love life's the old way. It's like you're always stuck in second gear, when it hasn't been your day, a week, a month, or even your year. But I'll be there for you when the rain starts to pour. I'll be there for you like I've been there before. I'll be there for you 'cause I'm there for you too.
Hey guys, so we're here at Clovis West with the group, and we're just gonna be giving you a little tour of campus. Let's go. So this is what we have to deal with every day at Clovis West. We have our traffic to the left, traffic to the right, and traffic straight ahead. So this is the front of the school where we have the front office and the bank. And welcome to our B building, the home of the choir, the lecture hall, and our drama room. Is our quad, in which we eat, socialize, and that's it.
And this is our library that's obviously not working right now because it's getting redone.
This is our cafeteria where, again, we eat.
Is it a clock tower or a tower clock?
So here we have our baseball stadium, home to our valley-bound team, the Clovis West Eagles.
It's been here for 70 years.
This is Clovis West Therapy Dog Browdy.
That's it. These are our tennis courts and our very own tennis star.
These are the Clovis West tennis courts, and our boys team is number 2 in the valley, and our girls team made it to semis.
This year, Clovis West hosted the 4th annual CIF state meet.
The beat record.
What's your name and what sport do you play?
I'm Abby Smansky and I swim for the swim team here at Clovis West.
What's it like being on a Clovis West sports team?
It's great. We're all like a family and we all have fun swimming.
What's your most memorable experience on the swim team?
States this year, I got 4th and 6th in both my events and it was a great experience.
What's your name and what sport do you play?
Okay, I'm Elizabeth Funk and I do track and field.
What's it like to be on a Clovis West sports team?
It's really fun and it's a good experience to have a lot of people who like cheer you on and yeah.
What's your most memorable experience of
Last year I got 6th in the state as a sophomore and this year I won Valleys.
And now it's time to highlight some of our favorite teachers.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Messick and I teach AP Chem and Chemistry at Clovis West High School.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Den Hartog and I teach calculus, and we incorporate a little music in our classes, little jingles to help us remember. That one is for remembering log rules and derivatives and antiderivatives of log rules.
Mr. Hawkins here, Lieutenant Colonel, retired United States Army, also AP US History and US History, the greatest nation on the planet.
Hi guys, it's Emily. I'm here at the Golden Gate Bridge, one of the most well-known places in California.
Everybody to the Wild Wild West, a state that's untouchable like Elliot Ness. The track hits your eardrum like a slug to your chest. Like a vest for your Jimmy in the city of sex. We in that sunshine state where the bomb M10 be. The state where you
Ronald Reagan was born on February 6, 1911 in Tampico, Illinois. He graduated from Dixon High School where he was an athlete, an actor, and student body president. He attended Eureka College where he majored in economics and sociology and again was an actor, athlete, and student body president. After college, he was a radio sports announcer in Iowa.
In 1937, Reagan began starring in several Hollywood films due to a 7-year contract with Warner Brothers. In 1940, he married actress Jane Wyman, with whom he had an adopted son and a daughter. In 1948, they unfortunately divorced. Among many other presidencies, he also was president of the Screen Actors Guild between 1947 and 1952. This job led to him meeting Nancy Davis, who at the time was suspected of being a communist among the Hollywood community. This encounter eventually led to their attraction to one another. In 1952, the two wed and had 2 children of their own. 2 years later, he became host of the General Electric Theater. During this time, he experienced a political shift in his views from liberal Democrat to conservative Republican.
His political career began in 1964 when he gave a well-renowned speech for Republican candidate Barry Goldwater. 2 years later, he began the governor of California, then in 1970 beginning a second term. In 1968 and 1976, he put in a bid to become Republican candidate for presidency. However, in doing so, he was unsuccessful. Finally, in 1980, he caught his party's attention, then becoming the Republican candidate for that year's election. In 1981, he gave his first inaugural address, where he said his famous quote,
"So as we begin, let us take inventory. We are a nation that has a government, not the other way around. And this makes us special among the nations of the earth. Our government has no power except that granted it by the people. It is time to check and reverse the growth of government."
In 1981, in Washington, there was an attempted assassination on President Reagan. Although Reagan was shot, he recovered fully. His political agenda consisted of his idea of Reaganomics.
So Reaganomics relied on the reduction of taxes and an unrestricted capitalism. So the idea was that if you reduce taxes on the rich, then they would spend more money, which would fuel the economy, and this economy was based on unrestricted capitalism. So it was just the idea of like rejuvenating the economy, which would also be used to build up, because the government started spending more money on military, so if you have a better economy, that can help support your bigger spending on military.
Reagan was re-elected in 1984. Reagan won the electoral votes of 49 out of the 50 states. However, his second term was tarnished by the Iran-Contra affair.
So the Iran-Contra affair was when the United States sold weapons to Iran in order to gain funding to support anti-communist insurgents in Nicaragua.
During this term, he also formed a relationship with Gorbachev, a leader of the Soviet Union. He then gave a speech at Germany's Berlin Wall where he said,
"If you seek liberalization, come here to this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate." Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Around 2 years later, they tore down the wall.
Side of the Berlin Wall, something new tonight, soldiers dismantling it, not guarding it with rifles. And on the west, the fire department, doing its part to open a road closed 28 years by morning.
In 1991, the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library opened in Simi Valley, California. This represents, as Reagan would call it, the shining city on a hill. In a handwritten letter in 1994, Reagan revealed to the American people that he has Alzheimer's. On June 5th of 2004, Ronald Reagan died at age 93. He was then buried in his presidential library in Simi Valley. Nancy Reagan then died in 2016 and was buried next to her husband.
In his career, Ronald Reagan was known as the great communicator. He used his Hollywood flair in his speeches by adding jokes and rhetoric to entertain his audience.
An American and a Russian arguing about their two countries, and the American said, look, in my country I can walk into the Oval Office, I can pound the president's desk and say, Mr. President, I don't like the way you're running our country. And the Russian said, I can do that. The American said, you can? He says, yes. I can go into the Kremlin to the General Secretary's office, pound his desk and say, Mr. General Secretary, I don't like the way President Reagan's running his country. Less than 1 family out of 7 in the Soviet Union owns an automobile. Most of the automobiles are driven by the bureaucrats. The government furnishes them and drivers and so forth. So an order went out one day to the police that anyone caught speeding, anyone, no matter who, gets a ticket. Well, Gorbachev came out of his country home, his dacha. He was late getting to the Kremlin. There was his limousine and driver waiting. He told the driver to get in the back seat, he'd drive, and down the road he went. They passed 2 motorcycle cops. One took out after him. And pretty soon he's back with his buddy, and his buddy says, well, did you give him a ticket? And he said, no. Well, he said, why not? Oh, he says, to him, important. Well, he said, we're told to give anybody a ticket, no matter who it is. Oh, he said, no, this one was, I could. Well, he said, who was it? He said, I couldn't recognize him. But his driver was Gorbachev.
Due to his poor eyesight, Reagan was unable to serve in World War II, but they utilized his Hollywood experience to help him make training videos to train other men who were going to go into combat. Demonstrated by his presidency, Ronald Reagan reflected the rise of conservatism that has created the economic atmosphere that we've experienced for the past 38 years.
Great.
Is our quad, where we eat, socialize. You play.
I'm Elizabeth Funk and I do.
I'm the Republican candidate. Okay. In 1980, he caught his public. I can't speak.
Ready?
Please put that in the bloopers. That's hilarious.
The economic what? The economic
policy. In 1991, he used his Hollywood